Here's a story about a unique football journey. You've acquired Miroslav Klose's heading template. However, given the choice between being the main striker at Bayern Munich and a substitute at Barcelona, you chose to renew your contract on a lower salary, staying with a team managed by Pep Guardiola, a devotee of tiki-taka football. Your Barcelona teammates all thought you were some kind of fool, and even your agent, Mino Raiola, was utterly infuriated by the decision. But what they didn't know was that while you had Klose's heading template, you also possessed a special ability. For every trophy your team wins, you get to draw a star player's skill module. As a transmigrator from the future, you knew perfectly well that the 2008-9 Barcelona team would go on to achieve the legendary sextuple. This meant that as long as you stayed here, even without playing a single minute, you could draw 6 more player templates to equip yourself with. While it's true that a lack of technical skill on the ball makes it hard to survive at Barcelona, you could use the team's championships to become stronger. In the final round of La Liga, Barcelona defeated Deportivo de La Coruña 3-0. You came on as a substitute in the 84th minute. In a total of 8 minutes on the pitch, you had 3 touches and 0 shots. With that, all of Barcelona's matches for the 2008-9 season concluded. Over your year-long career as a substitute, you posted the embarrassing statistics of 0 goals and 0 assists. In their predictions for Barcelona's new season, the media all excluded you, the expendable young player of Chinese descent, from the roster. But no one knew that you, widely seen as a casualty of the power transition from Frank Rijkaard to Guardiola, felt no bitterness at all. On the contrary, after returning to your apartment, showering, and closing the door, you lay on your bed, your face full of anticipation. A voice then said, "Ding, calculating 2008-9 season results. Congratulations, host, for winning the La Liga Championship, the Copa del Rey Championship, and the UEFA Champions League Championship. You will receive 3 module lottery chances." Overjoyed, you unhesitatingly lit up the lottery button. After a flash of white light, the prizes you had won appeared before you. Congratulations, host, for obtaining Wule's Agile one-on-one module. Congratulations, host, for obtaining Romelu Lukaku's Penalty Box Instincts module. Congratulations, host, for obtaining Lautaro Martinez's Lethal Finisher module. Staring at the 3 glittering prize pools, you completely broke down. A whole year on the bench, and not just on the bench. You had even almost gotten into a fight with Gerard Piqué. After enduring so much for a year, this damned system had given you 2 master skills notorious for their blunders, plus the finishing ability of Wule. There is little room for sentiment in football. Survival of the fittest is the true law. 2 days later, the streets of Barcelona were exceptionally lively. 2 people were missing from the championship who was famous for missing one-on-ones. Good heavens! However, just as you were sinking into despair, the system suddenly showed mercy. Ding! The host can randomly fuse 3 low-tier modules into a new one. The level and position of the fused module will be random. Without a moment's hesitation, you clicked Fuse. A brilliant golden light flared. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining the epic tier module. Erling Haaland's brute force module. Unbelievable! This is an incredible stroke of luck. Haaland's raw power to bypass defenders combined with Klose's heading, I'm destined to shine. But after the brief excitement, you sank back into deep thought. Barcelona, a city revered by football professionals worldwide, was a place you didn't like at all. You didn't come from the La Masia Academy, and your personality, which was incapable of flattery, meant you had few true friends in this city teeming with geniuses. Except, of course, for Lionel Messi, who was kind to everyone. There was also that one time after training when your eyes met Xavi Hernandez's. He immediately shook off Piqué, who was trailing him, and hopped onto the back of your bicycle. After that, Piqué, who already disliked you, started making dirty tackles on you in training. Eventually, you couldn't take it anymore and beat him up on the training ground. Piqué was an untouchable starter for Barcelona. It was highly unlikely you would be able to stay next season. The next day, you went to the training ground as usual. Right now, everyone at the club was preparing for the grand celebration festivities scheduled for the following day. At a time like this, only a marginal figure like you would show up to train. After exhausting the last ounce of your energy, you started packing your things to head back to your apartment. Just as you were leaving the club's entrance, you ran into Guardiola, who was just driving in. Clearly, Guardiola saw you too. After all, he had just had his assistant coach inform you that you needed to find a new club. For a moment, Guardiola himself felt awkward and wasn't sure what to do. After a moment's thought, he finally stopped the car and rolled down the window. "Sue, good morning, Mr. Guardiola," Hearing your formal address, Guardiola was visibly taken aback. Just yesterday, this young man had still been calling him boss. Soon, however, the unnatural look on his face vanished. He did appreciate your diligence, but football isn't a sport where hard work alone guarantees success. He had given you time, but your footwork was just awful. Parade float. One was Samuel Eto'o, who had completely fallen out with Guardiola. The other was you, the team's fringe player who had barely featured all season. While reporting on the splendor of Barcelona's victory parade, the media didn't forget to dig into the details of the feud between Eto'o and Guardiola. As for you, Barcelona's notoriously critical journalists wouldn't waste column space on an 18-year-old prospect with little hope for the future. Of course, someone did call you that day. It was the gentle Lionel Messi. After a warm chat with Messi, you lay alone in your tiny apartment, contemplating where to go next. Just then, Raiola burst in excitedly. Sue, Barca is negotiating a player swap with Inter Milan. It's Eto'o plus cash for Zlatan Ibrahimovic. As a transmigrator, you already knew this news, so you appeared calm. Besides, it didn't seem to have anything to do with you. Seeing your nonchalant response, Raiola laughed. Sue, Barcelona has added you to the swap deal list, valued at around 800,000 euros. I also checked with Inter. After reviewing your file, Jose Mourinho actually agreed. Haha, I didn't expect this. I've been worrying these past few days about whether to send you to Borussia Mönchengladbach or Schalke 04. At this moment, you also began to hesitate. Should you go to the Bundesliga, or should you serve under the special one and witness that iconic, historic moment of his ultimate triumph? Life presents many choices. Your dilemma was whether you should once again, as a direct participant, engage with and perhaps even change that magnificent chapter of history. Meanwhile, Zlatan Ibrahimovic hung up the phone with Mourinho, a look of regret on his face. The proud man's almost pleading voice still seemed to echo on the line. Zlatan, believe me, I've found the key. We will definitely be champions next season. But Zlatan didn't need a third consecutive Serie A title. He needed the European crown. Unfortunately, he felt that neither Mourinho nor Massimo Moratti could give him that. The future of world football would be the tiki-taka storm unleashed by that bald man, Guardiola, a storm that made even Sir Alex Ferguson's hands tremble. And he, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, would become the most dazzling force within that storm next season. Unlike the celebrated Ibrahimovic, another person on this same land had just reached the darkest moment of his life.